The massive hegemony vessel entered Earth's orbit. It moved slowly, showing the same casual arrogance the aliens had used on 1,000 worlds before. Supreme Commander Tarek stood on the bridge, looking down at the blue planet on his view screen. His six-fingered hand tapped impatiently on the metal rail. "Another backwater world to add to our collection," he said, his voice cold. His skin shimmered with a faint purple glow under the ship's lights. "Begin the standard protocol." The lieutenant at the communications station nodded. "Broadcasting the terms of surrender now, Commander." On Earth, everything stopped. People froze on sidewalks, in offices, and in their homes as the enormous ship appeared in the sky. It was larger than any building humans had ever made. Its dark metal surface reflected sunlight as it hovered silently over the planet. News broadcasts across the world showed the same terrifying image. Reporters spoke with shaking voices about the end of human independence. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, but everyone knew their weapons would be useless against such advanced technology. When the alien message came, it played on every device with a screen or speaker: phones, computers, televisions, even electronic billboards in major cities. The alien's face filled these screens, its four eyes blinking in different patterns. "People of Earth, the Galactic Hegemony claims this star system. You will surrender all resources and accept status as a protectorate within 30 standard days, or face immediate eradication. Your technological development is insufficient for resistance. Choose wisely." The message repeated in all major Earth languages. Then the screens went dark. In Seoul, an emergency United Nations meeting gathered quickly. Representatives from every nation argued loudly about what to do. Some wanted to fight, others to surrender. Defense Minister Do-hyun Park sat quietly at the Korean table. His face showed nothing as the arguments continued around him. Do-hyun checked his watch every few minutes. As other officials shouted about launching nuclear weapons or trying to communicate peaceful intentions, he simply waited. When the meeting took a short break, he slipped away from the conference room. In a private hallway, Do-hyun pulled out a special phone that looked ordinary, but contained technology far beyond what was publicly available on Earth. He made a simple call. "It's time," he said quietly. "Inform Admiral Chun-ho." The person on the other end acknowledged with a single word. Do-hyun put the phone away and returned to the meeting, still wearing his mask of concern and helplessness. Meanwhile, deep under the Pacific Ocean, a vast complex hummed with activity. Most people on Earth had no idea this place existed. Built over generations in complete secrecy, the underwater command center was larger than most cities. Admiral Junho Kim stood at the main control station. He was a tall man with sharp eyes that missed nothing. His uniform was dark blue with silver markings that indicated his supreme rank. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at advanced stations with quiet efficiency. Large screens around the room showed the alien ships in orbit. Other displays showed readiness reports from fleet commanders stationed in hidden bases beneath every ocean on Earth. Commander Ju approached the admiral and saluted. She handed him a tablet with the final status reports. "All fleet commanders report ready status, Admiral," she said. Her voice was calm despite the historic moment they faced. "The simulation tests show 98% success probability." Chun-ho nodded as he reviewed the information. This moment was the culmination of 2 centuries of secret work. Since the first alien ship crashed in the deep ocean and was recovered by a special team in 1824, humanity had prepared in absolute secrecy for this day. While the world's nations appeared divided and sometimes primitive to outside observers, a hidden global effort had been underway. The most brilliant minds from each generation had contributed to the Ocean Shield Protocol. They built an advanced fleet that could match or exceed any known galactic power. Chun-ho thought briefly about his great-grandfather, who had served as one of the first admirals in this secret navy. Now it was his turn to lead. "Send the activation codes to all fleet commanders," he ordered. "Prepare all vessels for surface breach." Around him, officers moved with increased speed. The atmosphere became charged with tension and purpose. Juno opened a secure channel to Defense Minister Doyan. The minister appeared on screen, still at the UN meeting. "We are ready, Minister," Juno reported. "Phase 1 is initiating." Doyan gave a slight nod that would look like nothing special to those around him. "Proceed, Admiral. The world is counting on you, even if they don't know it yet." Juno closed the channel and turned to Commander Juwu. The moment humanity had prepared for over generations had arrived. He took a deep breath and gave the order that would change everything. Begin Phase 1. Throughout the ocean depths around the world, massive hangar doors disguised as natural seafloor features began to slide open. The greatest surprise in galactic history was about to be revealed. 3 hegemony scout ships moved slowly through Earth's atmosphere. They were small compared to the massive command vessel, but still larger than anything humans had built. The aliens inside followed their standard routine before taking over a new world. "Scan complete for Sector 5, reported a junior officer. No military threats detected, only primitive radar systems and basic defense installations. The scout ships had been scanning Earth for 6 hours now. Their reports all showed the same thing. Earth was defenseless. The humans had some nuclear weapons, a few satellites, and simple rockets that could barely reach their own moon. Nothing that could challenge the hegemony fleet. On the main command ship, Science Officer Vex studied her monitoring equipment. She was younger than most officers, having earned her position through exceptional skill. Her 4 eyes narrowed as unusual readings appeared on her screen. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the ocean floors," she said, adjusting her instruments to get a clearer reading. Supreme Commander Tarek barely looked up from his strategic planning. His species considered science officers necessary, but not important for military decisions. "Probably they're primitive nuclear submarines," he replied with a dismissive wave of his hand. "Nothing that concerns us." Vex wanted to argue but knew her place. Still, she continued to monitor the strange readings. Something about them didn't match known human technology patterns. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean near Jeju Island, massive machinery hummed to life. What had appeared as natural rock formations on the ocean floor for decades were actually enormous hangar doors. They began to slide open, revealing dark spaces filled with waiting vessels. The same process happened simultaneously around the world. In the Mariana Trench, throughout the South China Sea, along the Atlantic Shelf, in the depths of the Arctic and Antarctic waters, and in 24 other carefully chosen locations. Each opening was precisely timed. In Washington, D.C., President Sunli stood in the hidden command room beneath the White House. On wall-sized screens, underwater cameras showed the massive doors opening across the globe. Despite being briefed about the Ocean Shield Protocol when she took office, seeing it activate was still overwhelming. "How many people know about this?" she asked quietly, watching in amazement as the first ships became visible. Defense Minister Do-Hyun Park stood beside her, having flown from Seoul immediately after the UN meeting. "Less than 10,000 worldwide, Madam President," he replied. "The Ocean Shield Protocol was the best-kept secret in human history." "How did we keep this hidden for so long?" the President asked. "Compartmentalization," Do-Hyun explained. "Most workers only knew about their small part of the project. Many thought they were building underwater research stations or secret submarine bases. The oceanic locations were perfect. No satellites could see through miles of water, and we filtered all evidence from the water itself." On the screens, the first ships began to rise from their underwater hangars. They were unlike anything publicly known. Sleek, midnight blue vessels with smooth hulls that had no visible seams, windows, or propulsion systems. They moved with impossible grace through the water. They ascended in perfect formation, first by the hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands from each location. The ocean bulged upward in spots around the world as more ships emerged. In his Undersea Command Center, Admiral Junho stood on the elevated platform overlooking the main control room. Displays showed the rising fleets from every ocean on Earth. 2 centuries of preparation were finally bearing fruit. He activated the secure global channel that connected to every vessel in the Earth Defense Fleet. When he spoke, his voice would reach the million ships now moving toward the surface. Earth Defense Fleet, this is Admiral Kim, he said calmly. Operation Rising Tide is now active. Proceed to your designated positions and prepare for atmospheric breakthrough on my mark. Acknowledgements flooded back from fleet commanders worldwide. The ships continued their perfect ascent, maintaining precise formations. Each vessel carried weapons and defense systems far beyond what humans publicly acknowledged having. On the Hegemony command ship, Science Officer Vex's console suddenly lit up with urgent warnings. "Commander," she called out, her voice rising. "The energy signatures are increasing exponentially." Tarek finally looked over at her station. "What are you talking about?" "Something massive is happening in Earth's oceans," she said, her 4 eyes wide with alarm. "Multiple objects are rising. Thousands. No, tens of thousands of them." "Show me," Tarek demanded, walking quickly to her station. The main view screen switched to show thermal imaging of Earth's oceans. Bright points of light were appearing everywhere, rising toward the surface. "Impossible," Tarek whispered as the count of objects continued to rise. Their technology level couldn't possibly. He was cut off as new alerts sounded. The scout ships began sending panicked reports as they detected the first vessels breaking the ocean surface. In the Atlantic Ocean, the water churned as if boiling. Then, like a scene from an impossible dream, thousands of advanced warships rose into the air. Water cascaded off their hulls as they hovered momentarily before accelerating upward. All around the planet, the same scene repeated. From every ocean, ships emerged by the thousands. They rose in perfect formation, their dark hulls gleaming in the sunlight. The Earth Defense Fleet, hidden for generations, was finally revealing itself to the world and to the stunned hegemony forces above. 1,000,000 ships, built in secret by a united humanity, prepared to defend their home. Alarms blared across the hegemony command ship. Red lights flashed as warning systems detected massive movement on Earth's surface. Supreme Commander Tarek rushed to the main bridge, his 4 eyes wide with shock. "Report," he shouted as he entered. The tactical officer worked frantically at his station. "Commander, our sensors are detecting ships. Thousands of ships rising from the planet's oceans." The main view screen showed the impossible scene. The blue oceans of Earth churned as dark vessels broke the surface. First hundreds, then thousands, then hundreds of thousands. The ships rose in perfect formations, water streaming off their sleek hulls. Tarek's mandibles clicked rapidly in shock as the tactical display updated. The computer counted the rising vessels. 100,000, 500,000, 1,000,000. "Impossible," he hissed, striking the console with his fist. "This species barely achieved spaceflight. They're still using chemical rockets." His second-in-command, Officer Malk, studied the sensor readings with growing horror. "Sir," he stuttered, "those vessels are showing technology signatures exceeding our own by several generations. Their energy readings are unlike anything in our database." "It must be a sensor malfunction," Tarek insisted. "No primitive world could hide such power." "The readings are confirmed across all systems," Malk replied. "And sir, they're ascending toward us." The Earth Defense Fleet rose in perfect coordination. Their midnight blue hulls shed seawater as they accelerated upward. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering. They had been designed and refined over generations in secret underwater facilities, incorporating both reverse-engineered alien technology and human innovation. From smaller fighter craft to massive carriers, the human fleet moved with precision that spoke of extensive training. They quickly formed a sphere around the planet, completely surrounding the hegemony vessels. Aboard his flagship, the EDS Seoian, Admiral Juno Kim stood calmly on the command deck. His bridge crew operated with quiet efficiency around him. Through the main viewport, He could see Earth growing smaller below as they ascended to orbital position. "All fleet elements report ready, Admiral," said Commander Juwu. "Weapons charged and targeting systems active." Chunho nodded. "Open a channel to the alien command vessel." The communications officer worked briefly at her station. "Channel open, sir." Chunho straightened his dark blue uniform and spoke clearly. "This is Admiral Kim of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your forces are surrounded and outgunned. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire." On the hegemony ship, Tarek heard the message with disbelief. "They dare to threaten us. The mighty hegemony that rules 1,000 worlds." "Sir," Mok said quietly, "our scans confirm their weapons capability. We cannot win this engagement." Tarek snarled and slammed his fist down again. "The hegemony does not surrender. Prepare all ships for emergency jump. We will return with the main fleet and burn this world to ash." The hegemony vessels began powering their engines, attempting to flee Earth's orbit. Their drives glowed as they prepared for faster-than-light travel. "They're attempting to flee, Admiral," reported the tactical officer on the Sioyan. "Deploy gravity anchors," Chunho ordered calmly, "and target their engine systems." Across the Earth fleet, specialized ships activated powerful devices that distorted spacetime. The hegemony vessels suddenly found themselves unable to accelerate beyond a crawl. When they attempted to fire weapons, the human vessels demonstrated their superior maneuverability and defensive shields. Earth ships darted between laser blasts with impossible agility, while their own weapons cut through hegemony shields like paper. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 20 minutes. The hegemony command ship was disabled by precise strikes that left its life support intact but destroyed its engines and weapons. The smaller vessels were quickly captured by specialized boarding teams. 2 hours later, in his ready room aboard the Sioyan, Admiral Chunho met with Tae-Woo Lee, the civilian director of the Ocean Shield program. Tae-Woo was older than Chunho, his hair gray and his face lined, but his eyes were bright with the success of his life's work. 200 years of preparation, Tae-Woo said, examining the battle statistics on a tablet. "My great-grandfather would be proud to see this day." The screen showed complete victory. All hegemony vessels captured, minimal damage to Earth ships, and no human casualties. "The deception worked perfectly," Chunho agreed, pouring tea for them both. "While they watched our public space program struggle with obsolete technology, they never thought to look beneath the waves." Tae-Woo nodded. The old submarine bases from the Cold War made perfect cover for the early work. By the time satellite surveillance became common, we were already building below the ocean floor. "And the aliens never suspected," Chunho added, "because we deliberately maintained the image of a divided world, with nations competing rather than cooperating." Through the viewport, they could see the captured hegemony vessels being towed to Earth orbit by the larger human ships. Marines were already aboard, downloading the alien databases and securing important technology. "What happens now?" Tae-Woo asked. "Now we move to Phase 2, Chunho replied. "The ships we revealed today are only half of our true fleet. While we secure Earth, the other half will begin operations throughout hegemony space." He brought up a galactic map showing hundreds of planned strikes at key hegemony installations and supply lines. "Our intelligence networks have been in place for decades," Chunho continued. "We know their weaknesses, their supply chains, their command structure. This was never just about defending Earth. It was about freeing the galaxy." Tae-Woo smiled as he studied the battle plan. As the ancient saying goes, the best place to hide is in plain sight. For 2 centuries, they saw exactly what we wanted them to see. "And now," Chunho said, raising his teacup in a toast, "they will see what humanity truly is." News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy within days. The fastest communication networks carried the shocking tale. A hegemony conquest fleet had been completely defeated by a previously unknown species called humans. The story seemed impossible. A primitive world with barely any space technology had suddenly revealed 1,000,000 advanced warships and captured the invaders without a single loss. Even more shocking were the rumors that humans had already placed spies and outposts throughout hegemony space long before the attempted invasion. Panic spread through the ruling classes of the hegemony. If humans had infiltrated their worlds already, nowhere was safe. On dozens of planets ruled by the hegemony, oppressed species began to whisper about rebellion. Hope spread quickly among those who had lived under the cruel alien empire for generations. On the captured hegemony command ship, now renamed EDS Vanguard, Intelligence Director Hyjin walked through alien corridors with a team of analysts. They had been working for days to access and understand the ship's vast database systems. The ship still had its original purple lighting that the hegemony species preferred, giving everything an eerie glow. Hyjin's team had set up temporary workstations throughout the main control room, connecting Earth computers to alien systems. "Director, you should see this," called one of her analysts, waving her over to his screen. Hyjin leaned over to study the display. It showed detailed reports on hegemony control methods across their subject worlds. The information confirmed what Earth intelligence had long suspected but couldn't prove. When Admiral Juno arrived an hour later, Hyjin had prepared a full briefing. They met in what had been the alien commander's private quarters, now converted to a human meeting room. "It's as we suspected," she told Admiral Juno, spreading data tablets across the table. "The hegemony's control is built on fear and technological intimidation. Their actual military strength is much less than they project. Most of their subject worlds are ready to rebel. They just needed to see that the hegemony could be defeated." Juno studied the information carefully. "And their technology?" "Advanced, but not as advanced as they made everyone believe," Hyjin replied. "They've been stealing innovations from conquered worlds rather than developing their own. They've grown lazy and overconfident." "Perfect," Juno said with a satisfied nod. "Begin Phase 3. Contact our agents on all subject worlds and activate the resistance networks." Within weeks, the Earth Defense Fleet had made contact with resistance movements on 12 major worlds. Ships that had been hidden beneath Earth's oceans now traveled openly between star systems, showing the hegemony flag was no longer something to fear. Ambassador Minsu became the face of Earth's diplomatic outreach. A tall man with a calm demeanor and quick mind, he had been trained since childhood for this role. Now he traveled between systems in his diplomatic vessel, meeting with underground leaders and offering Earth's protection to any civilization wishing to break from hegemony rule. The approach to Proxima Centauri took 3 days using Earth's advanced drives. When they arrived, Minsu's ship entered orbit around the system's 4th planet, a world of blue forests and purple oceans. The Ashrati people had lived under hegemony rule for over 2,000 years. The meeting took place in a hidden cave system far from any hegemony outposts. Minsu sat across from Vedrix, the underground leader of the Ashrati rebellion. Vedrix had skin that shifted colors with his emotions, currently showing a pattern of hopeful yellow and cautious orange. "We have heard much about your victory," Vedrix said through a translator device. "But many fear it is simply a trick. Perhaps you work with the hegemony to identify rebels." Minsu nodded. "A reasonable concern. That's why I've brought proof." He activated a small device that projected images of the captured hegemony ships now in Earth orbit, along with data showing Earth's military strength. Vedrix's skin flashed bright yellow. "It's true then. You really defeated them." "We did," Minsu confirmed, "and we're offering the same protection to your world and any others who wish to join our alliance." "How did your species manage this?" Vedrix asked, his 4 eyes blinking in amazement. "The hegemony has ruled for 10,000 years. No one has successfully challenged them in living memory." "Patience and secrecy," Minsu replied. He took a sip from his water flask before continuing. "When our ancestors discovered an ancient shipwreck in our ocean 2 centuries ago, they realized we weren't alone in the universe. The ship contained technology far beyond our understanding at the time. "And you announced this discovery?" Vedrix asked. Minsu shook his head. "No, that was our greatest decision. Rather than announcing it, a small group formed what became the Ocean Shield Protocol, a multi-generational plan to prepare in absolute secrecy. They knew that if the galaxy learned of us too soon, we would be conquered before we could defend ourselves. But your planet seems so divided," Vedrix said, confusion showing in his color patterns. "Our hegemony overlords showed us images of your world. Your nations were constantly in conflict, fighting small wars, competing economically." Minsu smiled. "The perfect cover. Our public governments maintained the illusion of division, while secretly cooperating on the greatest project in human history. The apparent conflicts were carefully managed to never threaten the hidden program. So your entire planetary history was a deception." Vedrix seemed amazed. "Not entirely," Minsu explained. "The conflicts were real, but controlled. The public governments handled day-to-day affairs while the Ocean Shield Protocol operated in complete secrecy. Even most of our own population didn't know about it." He showed Vedrix images of the underwater bases where Earth's fleet had been built. Vast complexes beneath the ocean floor, some as large as cities. For 200 years, we built ships and trained crews. We sent small, undetectable probes to gather intelligence throughout the galaxy. We placed agents on key worlds, all while maintaining the appearance of a primitive, divided planet. Vedrix's skin turned a deep blue of respect. "I must admit, Ambassador, your species has impressive patience. Patience, secrecy, and planning," Minsu agreed. "And now we offer you the benefits of those long years of preparation. Together, we can end hegemony rule forever." As the meeting continued into the night, similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Earth had revealed itself, not as a victim to be conquered, but as a liberator with the power to change the course of galactic history. 6 months after Earth revealed its hidden fleet, the final battle began. The massive Earth armada surrounded Hegemony Prime, the home planet of the alien empire. The once mighty hegemony had collapsed from within as dozens of worlds broke free and joined the Earth Alliance. The planet below them glowed with purple and green lights. Tall spires reached toward the sky from sprawling cities. For 10,000 years, this world had controlled the fate of hundreds of species across the galaxy. Admiral Chunho stood on the bridge of the Sioyan, watching as the remaining hegemony ships formed a defensive line around their home planet. Despite losing most of their empire, the hegemony rulers refused to surrender. "They have 112 warships remaining," Admiral reported Commander Juwu. "Their planetary shields are at maximum power." Chunho nodded. "Begin the approach. Tell all ships to hold fire until my command." The Earth fleet moved forward in perfect formation. 2,000 ships had been chosen for this final assault. The rest of the fleet protected newly liberated worlds or Earth itself. On the hegemony throne world, Supreme Ruler Xalak watched the approaching human ships with rage. His advisors had begged him to surrender, but he refused. "The hegemony has ruled for 10,000 years," he shouted. "We will not bow to primitive apes who got lucky." His military commander looked nervously at the tactical displays. "Supreme Ruler, the humans have destroyed or captured every fleet we've sent against them. We cannot win." "Then we will die with honor," Xalak hissed. When the Earth fleet came within range, the hegemony ships opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled the space between the fleets. Admiral Junho remained calm as the Sioyan shields absorbed the attacks. "Deploy the gravity web," he ordered. Specialized Earth ships moved into position around the hegemony fleet. They activated devices that created a distortion in spacetime, trapping the enemy vessels in place. "All ships, precise targeting only," Junho commanded. "Disable their weapons and engines. Minimize casualties." The Earth fleet fired with surgical precision. One by one, the hegemony ships went dark, their critical systems disabled without destroying the vessels completely. Within an hour, only the massive Hegemony flagship remained active. Its weapons continued firing desperately against the Earth fleet's superior shields. "Open a channel to their flagship," Juno ordered. On the main screen, Supreme Ruler Xalak appeared. His 4 eyes were wild with fury. "Surrender your vessel and order your planet to stand down," Junho said calmly. "This war is over." "Never," Xalak shouted. "The Hegemony does not surrender." "Then you leave us no choice," Junho nodded to his tactical officer. The Earth fleet fired carefully targeted shots that disabled the Hegemony flagship's engines and weapon systems. The massive ship went dark, drifting helplessly. Boarding teams quickly secured the vessel, capturing Xalak and his high command. With their leaders in custody, the planetary government surrendered within hours. Admiral Juno stood on the bridge of the Sioyan, looking out at the now peaceful space around Hegemony Prime. The planet below would face justice for its crimes, but its people would be treated fairly. "It's over," Ju said quietly, after 200 years of preparation. "This part is over," Juno corrected her. "Now we must build something better." He turned to the communications officer. "Send the message to all worlds." Across the galaxy, on thousands of planets, screens lit up with Admiral Juno's face. His voice was calm but firm as he made the historic announcement. "People of the galaxy, this is Admiral Junho Kim of Earth. The Hegemony regime has fallen. All worlds are now free to determine their own destiny. We invite representatives to join us in forming a new galactic council based on mutual respect and self-determination. The age of empire is over. The age of cooperation begins today." 3 months later, in a massive new station built in neutral space, delegates from 87 worlds gathered for the first meeting of the Galactic Council. The circular chamber had seats for every species, arranged with no position of higher status. Ambassador Jaya represented Earth. She was younger than many expected, but her calm wisdom had earned her the respect of all species during the Liberation Campaign. She wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps as she took her place at the council table. When it was her turn to speak, Ja addressed the historic assembly. "Today marks the beginning of a new era for all our peoples," she said. "For 2 centuries, humanity prepared in secret for this moment, not just to defend ourselves, but to liberate the galaxy from tyranny. Where the Hegemony ruled through fear and division, we will govern through cooperation and respect." The delegates applauded her speech. Many species that had fought each other for generations under Hegemony rule now sat side by side as equals. What Ja didn't mention in her speech was the second phase of the Ocean Shield Protocol. Even as they celebrated peace, Earth maintained its vigilance. The 1,000,000 ships they had revealed were actually only half of humanity's true fleet. The other half remained hidden beneath Earth's oceans, a secret reserve in case a new threat emerged. And beyond the known galaxy, colony ships were already on their way to establish human settlements in distant star clusters, ensuring humanity would never again be vulnerable to a single threat. After the meeting, Jaya found Admiral Chuno waiting in a quiet corridor. "The charter is signed," she told him. "The Galactic Council is officially formed." "And what of the Ocean Shield's second phase?" he asked quietly. "Still completely secret," she assured him. "Only the 20 highest officials know the full extent of our preparations." They shared a knowing smile. Earth had revealed enough strength to free the galaxy, but kept enough in reserve to protect its future. Humanity had learned the value of patience, planning, and keeping its greatest secrets hidden, even in peace. For now, the ocean depths of Earth held their secrets safely, ready if ever needed again. The end.